All right, what happens inside when you imagine 100 versions of yourself lined up on a bell curve? One for each role you carry: husband, wife, father, mother, grandfather, grandmother, therapist, Christian, or friend. Take a breath and let that picture form. I do the same thing. There are 100 Gregs on my bell curve in each of my roles. Now there's the Greg at the 50th percentile, doing okay, average effort, average outcomes. Then further along, the 70th percentile, the 90th percentile, and then that outlier, the one at the very edge, the 100th percentile Greg in that role. What do you think that person feels like? The 100th percentile you. What does that version of you do differently in the quiet moments, in the hard conversations, in the ordinary days? What small habits, choices, or refusals set that version of you apart from who you are today? Now turn the lens a little bit more inward and a little bit more gently. Where do you suspect you currently stand on each of those bell curves? Not as a judgment, but as an honest observation. Does comparing yourself to the lower percentiles bring a flicker of pride, or does looking toward the higher ones stir something else? Perhaps restlessness, curiosity, even a quiet resolve. Now, instead of measuring ourselves against others and settling once for above average, what changes when we place 100 versions of ourselves on the bell curve? Suddenly, complacency loses its grip. There's always a better you waiting, someone who has already learned what you're still learning, who has already chosen what you're still hesitating to choose. Does that feel freeing or daunting? And consider the glass ceiling. Not the glass ceiling, but your glass ceiling. The most successful and influential you can become on earth. We don't have control over how high that ceiling is, yet what if the only thing we're truly accountable for is reaching our own ceiling, pressing toward the maximum expression of who we were made to be? If you knew tomorrow you would stand before the Lord and give an account, not of how high the glass ceiling was, but how close you got to it, what would you change about yourself today? If your explanation for the reason you did everything ended with, "so the kingdom of God receives the benefit," what would change in your closest relationships, your work, your quiet moments alone with God? If the deepest why behind your growth was not self-improvement for its own sake, but so that others, especially those who bear God's image, might taste more of his own goodness through you. Now this week, carry these gentle invitations with you. In one role you carry, spouse, parent, friend, leader, disciple, whatever, where do you sense the gap between where you stand today and the version of you at your personal ceiling? What one choice would that higher version of you make differently today and tomorrow? When you feel the pull towards complacency, like "I'm doing better than most," what might shift if you turned and looked instead at the you who is further along? What does that version whisper back to you? If your growth were fueled not primarily by personal achievement, but by a desire for the kingdom to receive the benefit, others to see more of Christ through your life, what small act of service might flow naturally from that motive this week? No need to rush towards answers, just simply let the questions walk with you. The heart often reveals its next step when we're stop pushing and start listening. All right, thanks for taking forward to become more. Whenever one of these stirs a memory or resistance or a quiet yes, feel welcome to share it with me. I'm here, patient and listening. All right, see you next week.